Hello everyone! Yes, sorry, I missed last week's video. I've got reasons. No, I don't. But anyway, in this video, we are going to look at some common signs that would almost always qualify you as a fluent speaker of a second language. Number one, you are able to consume media such as books, magazines, films, TV shows, etc. without issue. This doesn't mean you understand every single word, but rather that you are able to understand the majority of the content without any outside help. However, there's a distinction to be made here. I'm not implying that you are able to understand every single source in your target language. I am referring to non-specialized media. It'd be a little bit too unrealistic for me to say that just because you can't understand a research paper on biology in your second language, then you can't be fluent. That'd be a bit of a stretch, I think. Number two, you're able to have casual and formal conversations. Again, this is not about speaking perfectly, because what the hell would that even mean? But more about being able to navigate conversations without any major lapses. You don't have any trouble understanding the people you're talking to, and you manage to convey your message or points smoothly. Of course, there can be some hesitation here and there, or you may very occasionally not understand something that's being said, but this doesn't lead to any breakdowns in conversation. You're also able to navigate between formal and casual register when necessary. Number three, and still on the topic of conversation, you're able to keep up with the conversation even in not ideal situations. By not ideal situations, what I mean is, for example, situations where there might be some background noise, or maybe you're on the phone where voices are not that clear and maybe harder to understand. And also group conversations when there's lots of people talking and you have to sort of be able to focus on everything and not be overwhelmed, essentially. If you're not massively affected by these situations and you manage to navigate them well, I would say that's a good sign that you're fluent in the language and comfortable with it. Number four, picking up words from context. That might not be the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about fluency or being fluent, but the truth is the more you're exposed to a language, the easier it is to understand words you've never heard before, or at least manage to get an idea of what that word means from context. This is because over time, you develop an intuitive feel for the language. This is a helpful skill because often you don't need to know exactly what a word means. Usually, having a rough idea of what it means is enough to grasp the overall message without hindering comprehension. Number five, you can work in your TL, target language. Obviously, not everyone will be able to do that in their lifetime, and that's why it's only a sign of fluency, not an absolute requirement. Working in your TL usually requires you to perform quite complex tasks, linguistically speaking, such as writing reports, presenting information, and just generally use a wide variety of vocabulary and grammar structures to be able to do your job. I say use, but obviously you also have to be able to understand this variety of vocabulary and grammar structures, but I think you know what I meant. To finish this video, I wanted to sort of share some of the tweets that I got on Twitter. I basically asked Twitter what they thought were signs of fluency, and I got some responses and I wanted to use them as sort of like honorable mentions. So Cindy Calixta says, not getting stuck when you don't know a word, when you can explain/replace it with your own words. And I really agree with this. In fact, with my students, I always tell them, it's not always about having the right word. I mean, it's ideal if you have the right word, but sometimes you don't. So it's also about being able to rephrase what you want to say, maybe use examples, using a more general word, or sometimes using examples of that concept you're talking about can help the person you're talking to understand what you mean. So you have to be kind of creative, because the worst thing that can happen is for you to not be able to say anything. If you're able to express an idea however you do it, I think that's great. Will Daly says, I think the capacity for making jokes/sarcastic comments/wordplay shows a more meta-awareness of how they're using a language, which to me is a sign of fluency. I agree. I think making jokes and even understanding them, jokes, sarcasm and everything, is something that a beginner would obviously struggle to do, usually. I think it definitely shows a great understanding of the language because you're able to play with it. And that's quite a refined thing to do, I think, in a language. And the last one, Shiawase, you can live your day-to-day life in the language. sign your kids up for school, apply for a job, contest a traffic ticket, complain about politics. Yeah, I agree. It kind of ties into the working in your TL in the sense that you have to perform tasks fully in your target language, and that's not easy. That's usually quite advanced, and I like the examples that Shiawase gave as well. Alright, so thank you for watching this video if you made it until the end. If you already subscribed to the channel, thanks, I love you. If not, what are you doing? Like, literally, what are you doing? Alright, I will see you in my next video. Bye.